Welcome to another Inside the Poker Mind video. This one, Bingo Edition. So in my latest podcast, I released poker bingo cards for the audience. Link in the description down below, free to get them for yourself. And in this bingo video, I was using card number 6. You can see it on the screen right there. So we're going to go hand by hand, and I'll discuss the logic I use in all of my decisions. Hand number 1, ace-9 suited over here. 3-bet to 12 big blinds. You could probably guess why. It's because I want this player to fold. Now, using a suited ace, great hand. It blocks pocket aces, ace-king, ace-queen, the most common continuance hands. And boom, I took that bad boy down. You're going to see me mark off the small blind steal box. Now, in this instance, I would definitely consider open raising as a steal or 3-betting as a re-steal in the small blind for that play right there. Now, once again, the very next hand, ace-8 suited this time. Big blind, 3-bet re-stealing. Now you can look at this player. He's a 37-26 player, incredibly loose-aggressive. And he folded, so it worked, and I ticked off that box. 10-5 suited in the big blind. Now I'm making this call. I'm thinking about the player type I am up against. Generally, I don't like the 10-5 suited. And this could be a good opportunity to donk bet. In this case, I did it for value on the deuce-deuce-5 hard-to-hit board. Top pair, decent kicker with a 10. But here's the thing. I wanted to get value, at the same time deny him any easy equity. If I check right there, he can check back with his ace X, king X, queen X, jack X hands, hit it on the turn, and pull ahead of me. I didn't want to let that happen. Came out firing for value, and he folded. So of course, I'm going to tick off that box, and I circled value right there. Now, I don't normally defend with a king 3 suited. But it is only 1.5 more big blinds after I call. The pot will be 10. I just have to win it 15% of the time. So I figured even though I'm out of position versus 3 players, I'm going to make this call. And that open raiser right there, his c-bet is 0%. I have a decent stealing opportunity on the turn if everybody checks the flop. But I hit top pair, weak kicker with the 3 right here. So I check. Let's see what the c-better decides to do. Now, look at this situation. I've got 3 players all in position against me, and I have a top pair weak kicker, couple of clubs, straight draw on the board with a 4-5. I really don't like this spot right here. So you can see this player comes out firing for about 80% pot. And I truly look at this kind of spot. If I were to call, I have top pair weak kicker. I literally only like 5 cards. One of the 2 remaining kings, one of the 3 remaining 3s. That's it. 5 outs to improve my hand only happens 10% of the time. If I called right there, that pot would be about 25 big blinds, as you see right now. And I'm still out of position against somebody who bet 80% pot. Really ugly situation. So I folded right there, and you can see right in the center of that bingo card on the flop, fold to avoid an ugly future. That is why I folded. Next hand, Jack 4 suited, coming in with the open raise. You can see on the card, there is a pre-flop cutoff steal. I'm in the cutoff. I have a suited hand. Let's try to steal. This player, Sublime Finisher, so far folding 75% of the time to steals. I think my steal has a good chance of success, and I did it. Ace-Queen offsuit open raising out of the MP. Now, one thing I always do when I'm open raising, I take a look at my remaining opponents, the players still to act. I take a look at their 3-bet percentages, as you can see, and I make a plan based on how likely I think they are to 3-bet bluff me. Now, both of these players in the blinds, totally capable of 3-bet bluffing, and look at that, 11.2 big blinds. That really does scream a bit of weakness to me. Normally, out of position players go 12, 13, 14 for value. 11.2 just felt like weakness, and if you take a look at my stats up here, I have folded in the 22-hand sample that Riccadone, and I have played together. I have folded to 3-bets already 100%. I think it might be just 1 out of 1, but this is easily a 3-bet bluff, so I came over the top with a 4-bet to re-steal that pot. I'm thinking weakness right here, even though it was a 3-bet. I just wanted to attack him. I didn't want to let this go. I didn't want to just call and go to the flop against this player with just an ace-queen offsuit. And he folded. I won the pot, and I ticked off attack weakness, one of the smart moves on card number 6. And you can see the reason why he made that 11.2 big blind bet smelled weakness. Pocket 10s over here on the left. Definitely an open raising hand out of the cutoff, right? But if this Lumble player, 24-21 loose aggressive, decides to open raise, What a great hand to 3-bet. For value, that is. But now Sublime Finisher, his very first 4-bet comes in for 24.3. I don't really read a ton of strength in that sizing, but at the same time, he hasn't made a 4-bet yet. He's doing it cold. It would have been such an easy fold for him. I gave him credit and I folded my 10s. Now, simultaneously, we have the 6-3 suited hand over here on the right. I am calling in order to try to exploit my cutoff open raising opponent. I took a look at his 3-bet. It was 10% in the small blind right here, so I put him on a weaker range. Now, I don't know anything about his c-betting tendencies, but occasionally I'll call with sneak attack hands like this. Nobody sees a 6-3 suited coming in a 3-bet pot. But the only reason I called, I'll be honest, is because I'm in position. I would have folded out of position in a heartbeat. And now I get a chance to bluff raise in position with my flush draw. The 6 comes. Now, here's the thing. When he bets and I raise on the flop and he just calls, just imagine if he had 9-10 for a straight. If he had a set of queens. He does not like how wet that Queen 8 Jack is. He would have re-raised after I raised him in position. There's no way he has a great hand right now. So because he's got that weakness, I don't think that 6 of hearts helps him in any way. The pot's already 70 big blinds. I only have 82. My only play is to shove. I could have checked back and let, we go to the river for free. But no, he's weak. I'm attacking weakness once again. And that was definitely bluffing on a wet flop when I raised him in position with just my semi-bluff or my flush draw. Queen 10 suited over here on the left. Taking a look at the players 3-betting, just, trying to plan ahead, looking out for the 3-bets. Queen, Jack, Ace. Now look at this player right here, Sublime Finisher. I am going to make a c-bet, and I argue that this c-bet is for value. He can call with King X, 10x for straight draws. He can call with weaker queens. He can call with Jack X and a couple of diamonds. There's so much I'm getting value out of right there. Queen 10 offsuit on the right over here. Got an open raise. Now, Queen 10 off is generally a hand I do not call with, even out of the big blind. But I'm up against a tight aggressive player. Look where my mouse was going right there. I'm looking at his general stats and his play style. He's tight aggressive. If he doesn't like the flop, I'm going to bet to bluff him on the turn. And look at an ace-high flop. All of you tight aggressive players who are watching this right now, if you have ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, ace-4, you're c-betting this, right? When a tight aggressive player checks back on an ace-high flop like that, he's telling you he does not have an ace. What an easy turn probe bluff this is when he checks back. And it works. Now that 9 isn't 100% a scare card, but if he did have some kind of an underpair, or he just had a weak 5, like 5-6 or 5-7, that 9 is a scare card. And if he had like king-queen, queen-10, that 9 doesn't help at all. So yeah, I consider that betting on a scare card, because plenty of hands that could have checked back with a little bit of showdown value, they don't like that 9. Ace-deuce on the left over here. What a fun hand coming in for the open raise under the gun. Now if we look around the table, button, small blind, and big blind are all 3-betters. You gotta watch out. But ace-deuce suited is still worth open raising, and then you'll just deal with any 3-bets that end up coming your way. Look at the sizing and maybe potentially bluff them. Now, this is a player right here, Sublime Finisher, 3220, really aggressive player, not necessarily a gambler, but he is all over the place playing a really wide range. And I have top pair, backdoor flush draw right here. I wasn't just going to fold just on the flop to a half pot bet. Let's call and see what he does. He barrels 1/3 pot, rather small. Let's put him to the test. I have a top pair. I do not think he has a great hand. I think Queen 10 would bet bigger for value right now. King Jack, 2 pair, a set of jacks, whatever he might have. I put him on weakness, some kind of a draw, blocking bet, maybe just totally trying to bluff me. Let's just raise him for value right here. And this also gives me the opportunity, if he calls and I don't like the river, I can always just check back. And then he folds. Great. I denied him any kind of equity at all. So I check off that turn, any value bet or raise. We've got ace-deuce suited again over here in the small blind this time. We got to come in for a raise, right, with a suited ace. Even in the small blind, out of position versus a loose aggressive player. You got to do it. Taking a look at his 3-bet stats. Queen 10-9, I don't have much of anything. He doesn't fold on the flop either. Look at that fold, 25%. But he checks back showing weakness. I pick up a flush draw. Loving this. Love betting on a flush draw, especially the nut flush draw. And the river's the lucky 8 of diamonds. So I come out barreling now. And I do it purposely at exactly half pot because I just want him to call. I don't want to send him the message that I love that flush card river. I want him to think, hey, whatever kind of pair he has, maybe I'm bluffing because I just bet half pot, turn, and river. And you can see right here, I'm actually checking two different boxes, value bet on the river and bluff C bet on the turn. 8-6 suited right here. Now, I was thinking about folding, right? But then I look at my opponent. He folds to 3-bet 77% of the time, 25-22. He only open raised 2 big blinds. I don't necessarily put him on a super strong hand. This kind of player, capable of opening wide out of the MP. So let's put him to the test, even though I don't have a great blocking hand. But it is a sneak attack hand once again. He won't see 8-6 suited coming. And then boom, non-ace X 3-bet bluff. Now, right down here, before we get to the 7-6 suited, you can see I got pocket jacks and I ticked off on the river fold. You know you're beat. I did not put this hand in the video. Let me bring it up in a replayer. So this hand took place on table 2 against Frigoff over here. He comes in for the open raise. I 3-bet for value against this player. He doesn't like to fold. Awesome. I got the 4th best starting hand. Let's go to the flop. And it's queen high. Not the end of the world, right? He does have some king, queen, and ace, queen in his range. So I come out firing for just 1/3 pot. He doesn't like to fold, so I'm planning on barreling right here for any kind of undercard that totally whiffs the board right here. 7.6 he calls, and then an ace hits at this point. Now, he did call on the flop because it is only 1/3 pot with a ton of ace X hands. And he doesn't like to fold. Maybe I should have barreled to try to get him to fold and just send the message that I like my hand, but I checked at this point. I don't necessarily know that that is a mistake, but he checked back. Tells me, okay, great. He doesn't have an ace. The river comes in 8. My jacks might still be good, so I check, just trying to pot control. If I bet here, I doubt because I checked on the turn. I don't think I can get a queen to fold nor an ace to fold as well. He comes out firing full pot. This could, yes, absolutely be a bluff, but I'm only ahead of bluff catchers right now, and up until this point, he has not folded on the river at all. So I decided to just give up the hand, and I checked the box, fold, you know you are beat. 7-6 suited on the left over here. Now, after Unk calls, I have the opportunity to 3-bet squeeze, but I really just don't know. Self-made seems like he's a very tight aggressive player. Out of the MP, he might even have just like a 12 or 15% open raising range. I didn't want to put that to the test, so I just called right here. Queen 5-9, I'm thinking about the possibility of check raise bluffing. You could see it's one of the spots on the card right here, but that really is not a good flop for me to check raise bluff because if anybody calls, there aren't a lot of good turns. I only like an 8 and a heart. There aren't a ton of equity outs. So I think the best bet is just check, and if they check behind, I could just fire on that turn. Now, right now, I'm considering my options. Nobody bet on the flop, and I can credibly rep having a top pair hand. On the Queen 9-5, I would have checked in order to check raise or check call somebody's bet. Now, at this point, I'm thinking about this player, looking at his range and stuff. He easily has a 9. He has ace high. He has a couple of clubs. He has like a straight draw that whiffed. There's a lot of hands that I can name that can fold to this over half pot bet. But drat, he had jack 9 and he ended up calling. That was one of the hands I thought could fold, but I thought through his range before I made that bet. So boom, I tick off on the river, name hands they fold, then bluff. So there is my bingo, and it took 141 hands. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have not downloaded the bingo cards just yet, link in the description down below. Good luck in your bingo session, and leave a comment below this video with the number of hands it took you to get bingo and the card you played. Catch you later.